Um, Something that I was thinking about the last couple of days actually, about entrepreneurism and um, sort of a new breed of entrepreneur that some well, it's a new type of entrepreneur that has to come about because of the new tools and the new ways of business that are coming forth and that already exist. E-commerce, already we know that you can't just open a physical business, physical storefront, and totally disregard the e-commerce aspect of it. And so, considering that, I was just thinking some thoughts in terms of how African Americans have been in somewhat a training ground, perfect training ground for what's happening now. And what I mean by that is basically the hip hop training ground, so to say. And what I mean is, especially those in the music business in the past, um, we know that the hip hop uh, culture and product has gone global, and basically everything is hip hop. There is no aspect of commerce that is not impacted by hip hop. And I was watching something the other night that they were talking about hip hop and the Bronx and how it expanded from the Bronx. And I saw Melly Mel talking about uh, that song he made, The Message, which was a big impact on me as well. And how he mentioned, um, he heard Rapper's Delight on the radio, down the hallway, outside in the car. When it first came out, it was just everywhere. And I remember that too. I remember listening to KSOL 107.7, and Rapper's Delight came on the radio, and I was calling my friend, my best friend at the time. He became pretty popular artist himself, but uh, we were in maybe the fifth grade, and I was calling his house. You have to do the phone like this. And every time I call him, his line was busy. And I just call him back to back, like, what's wrong with this dude, man? He lived like literally across the street. But I'm trying to call him to tell him to listen to the radio. And it turns out he was trying to call me to do the same thing. He was calling me, my phone was busy. I was calling him, his line was busy. But they played it back to back like 9 times. So I just said, forget it. I just got to run across the street and go knock on his door and tell him to listen. So I was about to run out my front door, and there he is running up to my door. He was giving up on calling me. He was just running across the street to tell me. So we went in the room and just listening to it nonstop. So that's just a little bit of the connection to even help me realize this global phenomenon started right then. And this global phenomenon is the marketing and the imagery that has circulated the globe. Every country on planet Earth, their uh, their millennials and whatever generation was right behind them, Generation X, they're hip hop. Everything they know, everything that they're about is related to hip hop, and that doesn't doesn't matter what ethnic group you're from. That is the case. I have friends. Um, I'll call them fans, uh, worldwide, hip hop related, and I have some friends in Russia, friends in Amsterdam, France, uh, all over the place, based on my involvement with the entertainment industry during the 90s and the early 2000s. And the thing about it is, I recognize how the people in this industry have been in training for something bigger. And what I mean is the same skills and abilities that all these record company executives, independent label owners, executive producers, um, producers, artists, and everyone who supports that whole industry has actually been developing the skills to enter the .com industry, the whole world of internet and e-commerce. And when you think of the entrepreneurs who have been in the hip hop industry that have expanded what they do beyond being a performer, they've done incredible things. And I'll just mention a few of the names. People like LL Cool J and Ice Cube. I just read something on the internet the other day that they're combining forces to try to buy um, some sports channels that that the government mandated to be sold, and they had to be sold because of a merger. I think some sort of like Time Warner merger or something like that. That to get the okay to merge, they had to sell some of their rights to airwaves, and Ice Cube and LL are putting together some money to try to buy that. Another person I'll mention is Nas. Nas has been an angel investor on many .com projects and other businesses that may not be .coms, but he's been one of the investors, the early investors to get some of these companies off the ground. And he's done some significant work in that area. Another person who has done similar things is MC Hammer. And since the 90s, I'll say since the 2000s for sure, MC Hammer has been a significant contributor, a go-to person for high-tech companies. He connects angel investors with new technology companies, startups that are looking for this venture capital. And he does some other things, that I'm not aware of, but I know he's in that arena. Obviously, Jay-Z has put his foot in to some major um, corporate ventures that we know of. He's bought the television station, I think. No, he has the online music distribution platform, and many other ventures. Many other ventures. Obviously, he Rockaware and Rockefeller Records, things like that, and he's because I think he was the CEO of one of those other labels. So he's doing big things in the area, and in outside of music, and in industries that are still music related, but it doesn't require him to be the performer. So one of my favorites, local. I'm from Oakland, California, so anybody from the Bay Area that does big things, obviously Too Short has done a lot, but the one I wanted to mention is E40. E40 has ventured way outside of the music industry in terms of he has a wine, He has had other beverages in some of the stores locally here, like energy drinks or um, some sort of beverage that's not non-alcoholic, and he's had the Slurricane. So I know folks around here will buy it just because it's E40s, and it's a decent product. So and he's done other things. He's doing a lot. So he's definitely someone I'll sing his praises. And another one I want to point out is uh, because I'm from the Bay Area, and he got his, part of his start here, and that is Master P. While he was doing his thing in New Orleans, he was also doing his thing here in the Bay Area. He had he had videos on our local uh, video stations, and he was doing the commercials there. He was doing a lot of recording here, and he had family connections here. So that was kind of his natural growth. Is his two natural markets, New Orleans and Bay Area. He was doing a lot here, and I would like to hear him tell you more about it. But I can definitely confirm that his success is largely due in part to his involvement in the Bay Area, Oakland, and Richmond uh, rap and music industries, supporting the studios here, the our at the time our local distributors, our plants that press up records, you know, our graphic design industries that were here doing all of the independent label designs and things. They did a significant amount of the work on those Master P projects that he was cranking out back in the 90s and 2000s. Another name, Russell Simmons. Russell Simmons, he's never been an artist. He's only been in the industry behind the scenes, and but branching out, he has he's in the financial services industry. I know his debit card reaches, uh, I think it's either 40 some thousand, or it might even be 400 some thousand users of his Rush card. And I'm very impressed by that. Very, very, very impressed by that, because he primarily serves the underbanked community. Underbanked community means folks who don't have access to banking. Banks have largely abandoned the inner city, and inner city, as I define it, neighborhoods in our cities that are heavily populated residentially by African Americans and the Hispanic communities. That's what it is in California. Um, but in reality, it represents underbanked means any community from any ethnic group that is in an area that is not served by banks, and primarily that consists of citizens who have low incomes, who have low credit scores, who are primarily renters, who have um, statistically lower educational achievement, and there's a group of statistics that go with who is underbanked, because that group of statistics are what banks use to determine whether they need to serve this community or not, because it's a cost benefit analysis. Hey, it costs us X amount to maintain these branches here. We need to employ these people. We need to secure these places. So what's the result that we're getting in terms of the benefit being generated by us as a business? So meaning, are we making enough money off of these people in these communities to stay alive? And the answer is no. because they are not lending to to the people in those areas. What keeps a bank alive is lending. And lending is only going to be available based on the amount of depositors in that neighborhood, in that community. So you need people to deposit funds in there. Once those funds deposited equal a certain amount, then there is an amount that they can dedicate towards lending to those depositors. So it's a ratio. So if the people aren't putting enough money in there, and they are not even demanding those products because their economic situation doesn't qualify them for those products. Meaning they're renters, they're not savers, they're not investors, they're not employed, they're not knowledgeable about the products and about the circumstances to use those products in. Meaning they're not even in entrepreneurial in a situation where they are asking for business loans, SBA loans, home loans, um, multifamily property loans, residential loans of four, 2, 3, 4 units for residential loans. So we're not even doing that. In most of these communities, the owners of the fourplexes live outside of the community. So, back to the Russell Simmons, just by him entering into the financial services industry and providing access to capital in some way through the Rush card is, is helping the community. And he is definitely servicing the underbanked community. And then obviously we have to mention Puffy. Puffy is an entrepreneur of all sorts. He's in all areas, but and maybe I'll mention another. If I'm gonna mention Puffy, we've got people like Dr. Dre. He's created Beats. The partnership with he and Apple made him a billionaire, and Beats, are worn by everyone, all ethnicities, all ages. And so I mention these people just as examples to show you how, they actually trained in the independent music, um, independent label arena. So, meaning they independently produced and distributed, manufactured, promoted, marketed, and sold their products, realizing that the major labels were not going to bless them as the the new king of the day, to come out and we're gonna make you platinum. That's how those major labels do. They say, okay, you're the one. You're the one who we're gonna build up to be the successful one, and before we discard you. Well, these people who I mentioned, no, they charted their own path. And so if you think about some aspects of the music industry, that how did the industry actually become a training ground, or how is it a training ground? Well, think about something with from the from the era that I'm from, is tapes and CDs were sold. So I want you to think about tapes and CDs a different way. So in the past, you go into a record store and you find the latest hot record, and pick any multi-platinum artist. Generally, the the record company and in cahoots with the radio station told you you are supposed to like this, and here it is on our shelf. Well, the independent artists uh, charted a different path, but essentially they did the same thing. So they found artists, they found musicians or DJs, or you know, that's another conversation, but they found producers, they found facility to bring those components together, that to help put together the product that will eventually be sold. So that facility is a recording studio. So all of those components have to receive payment before they're going to do anything, right? So the executive is like the CEO. So they find these components, they take it to the studio, and they come out with a product. And when we see it a certain way, okay, you made a rap. So, well, that's the simple version of what they did. But really, what are they selling? Let's take the tape and the CD as an example. They're not selling songs. They're selling a piece of plastic, which is a tape or CD. And the song is only advertising to get you to come in the store and buy that piece of plastic. In reality, it doesn't matter what's on that piece of plastic. You bought it, you can do what you want to do with it. You can have fun and play it. Think about when it was albums, and tapes and CDs. You really like to take out, the fold out and read everything about the song, who played what, who produced what, which artists were on there. I always used to love to see who's the sax player, who's the piano player, who's the bass player. I could tell, I'm like, oh, that song right there, I think that's so and so on that bass. And I look. You look on the back of the album, look on the back of the tape, look on the back of the CD. And the thing is, that's just a physical product that's giving me some enjoyment. But the truth is, you could have anything on there. Think about it. The same piece of plastic is what you get when you buy, even currently. I just went and bought the Spider-Man game for my 7-year-old son, which we just got to the end of the game the other day. He got the Spider-Man game. It's a DVD. But what it is a piece of plastic with fancy graphics and words for you to read. Now, the bottom line is it's data that's being downloaded into a machine, the same as a cassette, the same as a CD. Now let's compare it to a CD, an audio CD. So in the past, we would buy a CD, it would be about $12. Well, this DVD that I just bought for my son is $65. So, but it's still the same physical piece of product. We just theoretically believe it's more valuable because we say it is. We say to have the enjoyment of playing that game, it's going to cost you $65. Or to have the enjoyment of listening to this song, or these 12 songs, these 10 songs, it's going to cost you $12. So realize that all the independent labels we're doing is the same thing that EA Sports is doing. Activision and all of these video game makers that are making billions of dollars. Now, in fact, you might not realize that, uh, like Star Wars franchise, Marvel franchise, they're making more money off of the games than they are off the movie. You know, maybe not. I don't know about Marvel. They're doing like $1 billion. But I actually I'm gonna hold that. I haven't checked lately, but I know in the past the movies made the games made more than the movies, and the games made more than the comics. So um, some maybe it's a toss up, but definitely the toys and the games and all the other marketing rights to the different little you know, thises and that's that you can buy are actually making more than the original movie. So I'm just saying all that to get you to realize that the 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 end result of what's being sold is really the key there, and we sort of discounted um, uh, that they're just rappers. But yeah, they're just rappers, but they are actually doing the same thing that any of these other companies are doing. Any any digital company, any online company is doing the same thing. They're just giving you a reason to come to them and do something. So with a CD or tape or an album, you were just giving a person a reason to come to you and do something. So they all involve research and development. They all have to determine who, what, when, where, why, how, and how much it's going to cost to do that. So you have to figure all of them have this same dilemma, this same goal is really what I'm saying. Is they're going to have to create a product to answer all of those questions. And really remember, no matter what the product is, you're just trying to get people to come and get yours, whatever it is. And it usually involves some excitement to draw them to it. And that excitement on this planet Earth right now is generated by hip hop. And who holds the reins on the hip hop? Well, some other corporations are the puppet masters of some of the practitioners of hip hop, but it still requires those practitioners. They couldn't do it on their own. So, uh, all of these rappers, whether they're good or bad, all of these um visual artists in whatever medium they are using, be it magazines or online, whatever you look at anywhere that has any advertising component to it has some influence by hip hop, some influence. And so that's what that means is the hip hop business rules the world. I mean, it really does. And what if we can find new ways to use hip hop to sell different products? That's going to be the key. And the products that I think are a natural fit are e-commerce, online retailing. And so then let's get to, okay, so what should I sell? What should I use hip hop to sell online? Everything. That's the answer. Everything. And you know, well, what I do is I look at, maybe I'll post it somewhere for you to see. I look at the S&P 500. What that is the Standard and Poor's 500. It represents, what that is 500 companies that best represent the U.S. economy, and those 500 companies are of various sectors of our economy that represent um, our GDP, our gross domestic product. So, for instance, technology sector, financial sector, healthcare sector, consumables sector, um, telecommunications sector, entertainment sector, and on and on and on and on. So there are, I don't quite remember the number of different sectors there are, but within that sector, let's just take technology for instance. In the technology sector, that could consist of enormous array of businesses. So there are physical products like phones, right? Which we should get into. We should be selling some our own brand of phone. There are laptops we should get into. We should be selling our own brand of laptops. There are, I give you some things, and this is just one little piece of something I bought recently from Wish.com, and I go there sometimes just to get random stuff. And this is just a USB. Um, it's a USB thing that goes in my USB to give me 3 more USB ports. So I plug this in and then plug more things into that. You know, we should be making those, right? This thing, I'm just grabbing random stuff around here. This thing, I don't even know the brand name. Again, I think I bought this off Wish.com. This goes on your cell phone, and this is, so if I want to do a video on my phone, I just set this thing on here and it lights up. I don't have any batteries in it. It lights up. The camera is right there, so it'll just, it'll look like it'll brighten it up for me without being in the way. It's a light that can, it's convenient, nice and easy. These things. This is just a mouse. You should be in the mouse business. Now, those things I just named, right? It's so easy for you to make this. Here's how. You do the research and development. Find out who makes the components you need. What are the components I need? Here's another. I got 2 of these right here, right? So what are the components I need? When can I get those components? Where are those components? Why do I need these components for this thing? Why am I picking this thing? Why do people need this thing? And that's going to help me determine, who I'm going to sell it to, how much I'm going to sell it for, and a lot of those factors. And the thing is, something like this is plastic. You gotta understand how to do research too. Research and development. How do you find out how you're going to get this plastic item made? Are you going to use an injection molding process? Are you going to use 3D printer? Are you going to use some sort of CAD design to? And the thing is, all those things I just named, just look it up on the internet. So wherever you live, there's somewhere there that does all those things. Injection molding, look it up. So they'll make you one. They'll make you a prototype. 3D printer, look it up. Somebody will make you a prototype. CAD design, look it up. There's gonna be thousands of people who will, give me X amount of dollars. I'll make you a design. You tell them what you want. Oh yeah, I need this thing to fit in your hand, in such a way, and that's industrial design. They're gonna make it. You want it to look a certain way, It's the same thing as finding yourself a producer who's going to put this album together for you. You're going to find yourself, um, I mean, as the executive, it's your responsibility to put all the components together. So you just have to understand some of these things. And you're going to have to know, well, what components are required for this to work. We know it's going to be some sort of USB um, technology involved. We know it's going to be mouse technology involved. We know it's going to be some remote device technology involved, you know. And the thing is, the information is available. Just make you one, you know. And then with this, you could just buy it off the shelf. Just think about, do I want to recreate the wheel, or do I want to just go to find out who in China is making these, and then I'm just gonna find that, and then I'll send them 20,000 of my plastic cases, and they're gonna ship back 20,000 of these with their insides and matched to my outside, and you sell your product. You call, instead of calling it Logitech, you're gonna call it Bro Tech, Brother Tech, Black Tech, Yo Tech, Fubu Tech, for us by us Tech, whatever. So I'm just brainstorming right now to get you to understand that this is how it's put together. You just got to think outside of the box. Okay, let's get to the production aspect. Let's say you're the executive, you're the CEO. Everybody always want to put CEO on a business card, right? Like they in a soap opera. Everybody in soap operas chasing. You want to be the CEO. There was a janitor last year and lost their and got what they call it, when you can't remember who you are, and then the next year they the CEO of the biggest company in their town. So that's how we seem to want to do, but we don't want to actually do the work. And your company is always just a rap label. We need you to expand, but those experiences in creating that label actually makes you highly trained entrepreneurs. And so think about this too. So producing the album is the same as producing this product, because you're going to be working with artists. An artist had to design this. This is highly skilled artistry right here. The colors, the designs, the form, the function. This thing is not no joke right here, man. And it has to be visually pleasing. I bought this blue one because it goes with my. I'm a pen. I collect pens. I love a nice pen. This is a cross pen. If you don't know about pens are you could buy some expensive pens, man. There are pens on my radar that are in the $2,500, writing pens, $1,500. Right now, I only have pens that cost up to like $120 something dollars. I've got some nice pens. I had this pen for about 25 years, and this pen is engraved. This a cross pen. This pen has my name engraved on it. This is also a cross pencil. So, but it's got wood grain. You twist it like that, and it's got the pencil lead in it. That's one of my things. Here's another one. This is also a cross. Cross is just a very respected brand of pen. You're gonna get a nice pen. These pens got gold trims on it, and this one, I bought this one because it has this stylus on here. It allows me to, while I'm watching the video or doing something, responding to an email or something, on my phone, I can do that with the tip of this pen. So that's one of my things. I like, nice pens, and this is in the cheap realm right here. This one was like $30. This is about $60. Actually, I got these two together, and the pen and the pencil, and they were about 100 and something. And this one I bought um, online and had it shipped to me and engraved. And that was actually, it wasn't online, it was like mail order. And I think it was $70 or so. But my point there is, I was speaking about the style of these things, and then I'm gonna go bounce off something else. I know. So, they have to have form and function. I need it to look good. This metallic. It's got metallic like an old school paint on an old school car. So, I'm like, yeah, I want it to match. When I'm doing work, I want to feel good when I'm doing work, and I need nice pens, because if I'm signing something, I want to sign it. It's going into the world because I'm an artist. It's gonna go into my signature is important to me, how it looks, and the form of my signature. So I need a nice pen to help my signature be right and look right. So, I'm saying that just to show you the quirky things that you can make money on. $100 and something dollar pen. We could have our own pen company. You could do that. So you could buy this stuff off the shelf, and put it together and put your brand. There's a watch company I want you to go take a look at. It's called Tally and Twine, and it's an African American owned watch brand. And the thing I love about it is, I love watches. This is a Breitling. That's an expensive watch. I like expensive things. This is a very nice. This is a very quality Swiss made watch. It's perpetual. It's just going. Everybody think, oh yeah, Rolex keeps moving. There's other watches that do that too. Breitling, it just keeps going. So but Tally and Twine, I haven't actually bought one of their watches yet, but I'm going through. Very often I'm on this mailing list. I want to buy one of their watches, so I'm just kind of figuring which one I'm gonna pick. But the reason I mention it is because watch manufacturing is a thing that he thought about it. Obviously, he realized it. You're just putting together components. It used to be that fine watches were made in Switzerland because of the components were put together in such a way that they had a history of, piecing these components together and understanding the mechanism and how the teeth of those of a watch, all of them work together in fine, precise, motion. And that was a rarity on planet Earth, and so they developed that expertise. But as technology, advanced, you don't actually have to be in Switzerland to make these watches no more. You could be anywhere, and the components to go to these watches are a fraction of the cost of what the end result is. So we pay thousands of dollars for a fine watch, a fine quality watch, but you can get that quality anywhere. A lot of these watches now are made in Japan. Japan is known for making fine, small components and getting them to work together in technology and quartz watches. That's new technology that it works better than all of these highly, highly precision machines inside of a watch. And you use a quartz the quartz components actually keep a better time measurement than the mechanical watch like this, and it's cheaper. So those are primarily done in Japan. So that's just I'm just using that industry to give you some insight in it, because basically you can buy bands, you can buy frames for watches to go in. If you go into a watch store, you will see that no matter which brand which one you're looking at, the designs, the basic style of watch is fundamentally the same, and that's because they buy the cases, buy the boatloads, and slap the internal components inside. I have a watch repair place that I go to on a regular basis. I got tons of watches, and some of them have been sitting for a couple of years. I just don't feel like taking them down there and getting them fixed yet, or some of them need batteries. I just haven't put the batteries in, and some I got a couple watches that I wind it up, and they work great for about a week and a half. They're supposed to be perpetual motion, and I'll notice they get stuck at a certain time. It's like, hey, it's like they work for 2 weeks and 2 hours perfectly. I'm like, hey, this is not cool. So, I just haven't taken that one in yet. But things like that, watch repair businesses, if so, watch design business, watch manufacturing business, watch repairing businesses. Those are all, different aspects of the same thing. But what I'm only getting at is that your training ground of being a record executive, your 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 hoop dreams, your rap dreams, everybody's not gonna be the $1 million rapper, platinum selling rapper. Everybody's not gonna have the record company that had a platinum selling rapper. But I respect the effort to do that, and I'm always uh, impressed with with a lot of uh, the executive producers that I've known over the years. Many of them I see that what, this dude is gonna be successful. It doesn't matter what industry he's putting it together, because he's a business person. It's just that the rap industry is a vehicle for that entrepreneur to flex his muscles. But what I noticed is, if they had some more business training and entrepreneurial training, to see that they have skills and abilities that transfer across all product lines. They could be doing any business, any product, and putting it together. They are doing what project managers do. Project managers are a very sought after skill right now in business all over. If you don't even need a degree in project management. If you were to be certified, have some sort of certification in project management, you're going to go far. Damn, I've been talking for 50 minutes. That's an hour saying nothing, huh? All right, I better wrap it up. But some of the aspects I wanted to just touch on that these hip hop entrepreneurs have and need to venture out, explore using these skills in other on other products, and those skills are the research and development skills, the production skills, the being different specialists, being having the timing constraints, having the budgeting constraints, and being able to dictate the product quality. These are some of the skills that they have been using. The manufacturing skills, uh, doing these production and even pressing in house, or do you outsource this? Doing cost comparisons as to which one is better, and at what point do I need to switch from doing it from outsourcing to doing this all in house, from building our own studio to or versus outsourcing to studios locally or even nationally, or just depending on the producers to provide that service. It's going to determine how you pay for these services. There are different important factors. The marketing, marketing budgets, what medium you're going to choose to market in, what sort of marketing you're going to do, what market do you market to, uh, what kind of methods are you going to use, guerrilla marketing. Are you going to have some sort of national campaign, for your promotion? Market and promotion are usually mentioned together, but they're different things, and there are different things that if anyone has a handle on is our hip hop entrepreneurs. They've mastered this, and also shipping and receiving are also a part of the hip hop entrepreneur. Shipping and receiving these products, and how does the product get to the distributor? How does the what does a manufacturer need from you to manufacture what you need? And so that means you have to provide them with something. You need to know their specs and and what their requirements are, and you're going to have to work with your professionals on your team to provide you uh, when you use your service providers. Hey, you're gonna tell them, okay, I need our what you give me, what I'm paying you for. I need the output to be in this format because your manufacturer needs that format. So you're the middleman. You're the central. You're the quarterback of this whole project. And so that was shipping and receiving. And think about accounting. You are the one who it determines whether you're up or whether you're down or upside down. If this project can even continue because you control the reins on the budget, and that is gonna be true no matter what industry it is, no matter what product it is, whether it's a physical product or a digital product. You're going to have to be responsible for all of these components I just mentioned. Legal ramifications of this project, this product, this service is it's relevant. The same as this is something common to those in the hip hop arena. Um, there's all the legal aspect is often the first aspect. It's something that can be that we know historically may be um, uh, brushed under the rug and comes back to bite those who do that. In hip hop, you hear about people with bad contracts, so on and so forth. But the point is, uh, the executive producer is usually the one with the good contract, right? The record company is the one who is on the good side of the contract, and rightfully so. This is their project. Like I said, I want you to think about. You're gonna hear all these things about the artists didn't get paid and the artists they only got this little amount of money, and they went bankrupt because they didn't get royalties or whatever. And the thing is, I look at it from the record executive's point of view, and I'm an artist. I have been in the past, musician, painter, you know, all these things, right? But I recognize that the person who, I mean, your art is your art. You could make a song and enjoy it for yourself. But now you want to sell it. That's a business. So the business person is the one who should make the money. The artist, like I said, you're not selling his songs. You're selling a piece of plastic. I don't care about your song, how great you think you are, because you made a good song. So we're only selling that piece of plastic. We're not selling your song. Your song is just an advertisement, just like any advertisement anywhere, anyhow. I'm looking for an advertisement right now just to show you what I'm talking about, because an ad is nothing. It's just something to attract you to come buy this thing, whatever this thing is. Thing could be any worthless piece of junk. How many toys have you bought for your kids that are worthless pieces of junk, but they really loved it, they really wanted it, they wanted that thing bad. I just bought something for my son. See, they had a good week at school. I said, all right, let's go. Let's go pick. You could pick a toy. I thought he was gonna pick a Lego, but he wanted this other thing. It's you pour water on it, and I forget the name of it, but there's a little treasure inside. You pour water on it, then you dig out the treasure, and it's a little monster that glows in the dark. It's a piece of junk, but it was advertised on the TV all the time. In the morning when he's watching cartoons, eating his Eggo waffles or his cereal. Then he's, Dad, can I have that? Can I have that? I said, yeah, man. I told him, yeah, man, for like 3 months, and I finally said, all right, we can go get this thing. It's a little piece of junk, but the point is, it's just something that they advertise as a little piece of junk that somebody somewhere designed it, made a call to China and said, hey, can you guys manufacture this piece of junk for me? They said, sure. Email us the specs for that piece of junk. They emailed the specs for the junk, and the people in China, sent them this many thousands of pieces of junk. And they put those pieces of junk on the shelf, and they put those ads for this piece of junk on TV, and they targeted me through my kid, and they knew that X number of kids will hound their parent and say, hey, Dad, can I get this piece of junk on TV? And eventually the dad will say, okay, yeah, all right, let's go get this piece of junk. So I contributed to their pocket. I bought some of that junk. And he said, and then I'm impressed by that, because it has a fold out inside, and it shows you all the other pieces of junk you can collect. I'm like, oh, this is brilliant. I love when I see this stuff. Like, ooh, they can convince people to buy this 10-cent piece of junk. I think I paid about $6 or $7 for it, and it only cost like 10 cents to manufacture this thing, And I was impressed. Every piece of it was wrapped in plastic. I think that through. I like looking at the manufacturing process, and when you realize all of those plastic components are that way because they came off a conveyor belt and were wrapped, and there's a process, and and those conveyor belts all come together at some point and drop this product into a box and wraps it up, puts a label on it, and ships it out to the store. And eventually I bought the piece of junk and unwrapped it, and out of all that junk is a little piece of plastic. My son put the arms and the legs together, and he's playing with it all the time. Like, yeah, look at this. Oh, Dad, I want the other one now. I say, oh, okay, yeah, sure, yeah. Can I get the other one? Oh, yeah, maybe so. I'm gonna keep telling him that for some months, until we'll be in a store and he'll say, "Oh, Dad, this is that piece of junk I wanted. Can I get it?" $5-6. All right, sure, let's get it. So but the point is, this is what we need to do. Take the training grounds of making records, tapes, and CDs, and transfer that to make everything. Everything is what we need to make